Welcome, karibu, amoyela, wamkelegile, kaabo, takulandiani, nabata, magadi imese. Welcome Marfado Family Group. Marfado is our inheritance, sesta tili faletu, naragachi iye nketa anyi kutora naka yedu, kurudisha urithi wetu, honka leya fararona. To be involved or to learn more, send an email to join@marfado.com. Become a member of the Marfado Family Group today for Universal Ubuntu Maati Spirit. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Kamiti Hebrew Ethics, for ancestral spiritual congruence. Tatenda siyabonga asante sana edupe dalu. Christianity, Islam and Judaism or any other religion, they are very powerful. Don't underestimate their psychological power, political power and economic muscle. They cannot draw all these people when they don't have power. These people that you see here cannot be acting or pretending. There is a force that is operating through these individual pastors and the preachers. It is clear there is a vast pool of psychic energy from which these elites and maybe political leaders as well as executives of corporations draw their energy from. It is clear that the church is one of the organizations that have used this vast pool of psychic energy to rule the oblivious world and all the other people that say they don't go to church. There is another source of church power other than pretense, hypocrisy, or the Bible or belief or faith. Because all these politicians who vow to rule their countries using the Bible cannot be doing that by simple manipulation. Nescience versus ignorance. Nations comes from the Latin nesciere, to not know, because knowledge was absent or unattainable. Because that's what the church did. It took over areas and knowledge and archived it, specifically in the Vatican, and the only people that access it are their leaders that want to use the pool of psychic energy. Ignorance, which comes from the Latin verb ignorare, means not to know, even though necessary information is present, because that information has been willfully refused or disregarded. You have ignored what is already there. Let us not ignore what we see and what we witness. So here is proof that Christianity, Islam and Judaism and all other religions have taken over the whole earth using a certain force, and we shall identify that force, which is another source of power for Christianity. How did it attain such power? The average Christian or a Gentile is ignorant to the clandestine workings of the church. They ignore the facts that we put in front of them, and they continue to pour more and more psychic energy, either through positively loving the church and going to church, or by opposing it vehemently and taking its extreme, like atheism, agnosticism. You are still pumping negative energy, also to attack it from a belief standpoint and a factual standpoint. If you are an atheist and you think you are opposing the church, you are actually giving it negative energy, and it loves that, it uses that. Look at what happened to Galileo and Bruno and all the others that opposed the church. They took their energy, they sacrificed them, and they took their psychic power and they used it through devotion and a prayer. You pump energy into the vortexes that the church has established, and the atheists and agnostics wonder how a minority few become the wealthiest and they run the lives of billions, because they are giving the church negative power. You know, when the Romans took over a Jewish sect and Christianized it by planting in a Jesus, their own Jesus, whether it's black or white, they maximized their power by the tactics of divide and rule. And then they went further and they built churches along the ley lines and the areas within the earth where there was a lot of geomagnetic energy. This is a fact. You know, the human body is composed of bioelectricity. Our thoughts, our emotions, our feelings, whether atheistic, whether positively believe in atheism or deism, generate electrical impulses. Even an evolutionist who is an atheist is generating that, because he is saying something and he's thinking something, and when you think, you generate a stronger electrical output that affects the environment where you are or the people that you are close to. We call it vibes. When one who is knowledgeable uses earth energy in addition to directed thought energy, this greatly amplifies their power behind those thoughts and direction of the energy through their will. But when modern electricity took over and covered the whole earth, it blocked this bioelectric signature or spirit or energy through interference. And when your referencing system that you have specifies as another point that is not natural, like atheism or Christian or Islam or what, formulated by men, then you cannot stop the church from interfering with your thought processing and using the earth grid to affect your thinking and your bioelectricity. This is how the church gets its power from its opponents as well as from those that follow it. The only people that it cannot derive power from are those that are knowledgeable, and they know and they have an anchor point or a belief system or a knowledge system based on natural law, based on their true identity. So to sustain its hold over the world, it took over and destroyed pagan temples and built churches on those pagan temples. So ancient temples and big rocks marked mind harmonizing telepathic waves linked to Earth's geomagnetic field, and the church knew that. And then they came with the book they call the Bible or holy books, and they said, don't worry about that, Jesus is enough, God's word is sufficient for your salvation. The church secretly took over these places, removed the knowledge, and then put their holy books and their own creation, Jesus, into your mind. So whatever you do, if you believe that Jesus came and died for your sins, you are a Catholic. You have been trapped by the church. Here are the lines that the church drew. This was a natural line that went straight to the Great Pyramid, but they diverted it and they changed it and sent it to Israel. This happened. It is what it is. These are the monasteries found along this line and the dates when they were built to absorb energy and to lock the frequencies specifically of Europe, because that's where they are based. And for them to sustain Europe and to take Europe, they've done a number of things. Here is what they did. They caused the First World War and the Second World War, where they derived another source of power. That's another source of their power. Special rituals are conducted along these lines to affect the animal grid, the natural grid, and divert it from where it was supposed to go to Hamid, and they feed the whole earth up and down, east and west, north and south. And then they did something worse. Do you know that from the encirclement of the earth like a spider web, Christianity has such a powerful hold on many people who are ignorant of this other source of its power. They built factories, slaughterhouses around the world, strategically placed on these energetic ley lines. They burst low frequency energy, torture energy released from slaughterhouses, and sentient beings. Blood sacrifices used to subvert the otherwise high vibrational energy that are found around these lines. This is how the church has its power. They also go on to lock the frequencies of Earth's vortexes. Here is what they did. The Vatican, which is the headquarters of Christianity, is built on a hill where the temple of Janus, the god of the Romans, once stood. Alongside St. John's Lateran, which is the church where the Pope is crowned and where he speaks infallibly, is the obelisk of Tutmosis III. How they diverted from Hamit and took everything to Rome. This is the obelisk. Christians go there. They don't even worry about this. They know nothing of the facts we are laying here. And they go to the Vatican. Some go as tourists with their blank minds, not knowing what has happened with the vortexes or whether they are vortexes. Some are disbelievers, taught to believe that God does not exist by the church. It's atheists. So that is how they locked the frequencies, even of melanin dominant human beings that energize the whole earth. Pagan temples were destroyed and Christian churches were erected over there. Very straightforward and clear. So how did the church attain this power, and how does it attain its power? Through a system known as the occult. What is occult? Secrets, esoteric, mysteries that are beyond the range of ordinary knowledge, involving the supernatural, mystical, and the magical. And what do you hear the most educated people today say? They say there's no supernatural. They say there's no mystical. They say there's no magic. Look for an atheist, look for an evolutionist, and they look for those that are highly educated in this European education with PhDs. They will tell you that there is nothing. We evolved, we came from monkeys. That was pushed so that the church can continue to have power over the minds of the masses, including the highly educated, except those with the knowledge. Christianity is not fully a spiritual movement in many respects. In truth, it is also a political institution posing as a religious spiritual front. It used occult plus political power to take over the earth. Followers are deceived into living their lives up to death by giving up their own rights of occult or spiritual knowledge, and then by ceding all political power via those agents that were selected by the church, and they become defenseless and harmless against the elites that are controlled by the church, who also have the knowledge. But this didn't begin with the church. Even the Jesus that we read about in the New Testament, when he was asked why he spoke in parables, do you know what he said? He said, you, to the disciples, have been given the knowledge about the secrets of the kingdom from heaven, but it hasn't been given to them, the public. Why? Because to anyone who has something more will be given. So if you have a little bit of negative knowledge and you hate the church and you are an atheist, more you will be given more of that, and you become so forceful, so hateful, and the church reaps its energy. If you love the church a little bit, you will be given more force to love the church more and more, and the church reaps positive energy. And then positive and negative are in the hands of the church, and those that are neutral are safe because they've got knowledge. But once you are an atheist, you are negative. Once you are positive for either Christianity, Judaism, or Islam, you are positive, and you are feeding into the church, and the church is absorbing that and using it, because it says, but from the one who doesn't have anything, even what he has will be taken away from him. So if you are zero, if you are ambivalent, if you are lukewarm, and you are neither, for you become worse. You are dead. The soul, that is speaking of the soul, will be taken away from you and be given to the church. Right? So these are the organizations, that the Christian occult, that run the Christian occult in this world. So how do you free thyself from this? Because we have spoken of your negative and positive energy. You should know yourself. You should protect yourself by having crystals around your electrical gadgets. Avoid Islam, avoid Christianity, avoid Judaism, whether it's black Judaism or black Hebrew Israelite, avoid it. Understand where the ley lines and the nodes and the vortexes of the earth are situated. And last but not least, remember there is a fourth dimension that is feeding into Christianity via the entities that live in the fourth dimensions. We call them Chitauris or reptilians. So avoid Christianity, Islam and Judaism. You must learn to practice your own occult. We have it, and this is from the Hermetica, written by Jgahute. He says, and so the gods will depart from mankind, a grievous thing, and only evil angels will remain, who will mingle with men and drive the poor wretches into all manner of reckless crime, into wars and robberies and the frauds and the things hostile to the nature of the soul, atheism or even Christianity. If you want to learn more and if you want to interact with us, please, you are free to send us an email on john@marifado.com. Till we meet again, remember, Christianity, Islam and Judaism, they are not dry, they have a spirit. Don't challenge them blindly, you will be wiped off. Hamani Jatopi, British Rabbi Helen Gimzulukuni Kenim Jakanja, saying subscribe to our channel and let us walk this journey together.